I want to share with you the 3 lessons I learned from being on reality TV. What's up guys, I'm Matty B and welcome to the channel where we give you the tips, tricks and tools for mind and body transformation so that you can be the best version of you. I was a socially anxious introvert who thought the cure would be going on reality TV and making a total ass of myself. Did it work? Well, that depends on who you ask. But of all the life-changing lessons I learnt on that experience, there were 3 standouts that I feel are applicable to anyone. But before we get there, just how socially anxious are we talking about? Well, let's put it this way. Between going to work, home and the gym, for years, I did not do anything else. I wouldn't go out and socialize. I was petrified of going into groups. Groups of people would cause me anxiety attacks. I couldn't make eye contact with people. I couldn't initiate conversation. If I was ever in a situation where I felt overwhelmed, I would just break into uncontrollable sweating. It was so embarrassing. I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed a shake-up, something to just totally flip my life around 180. And as luck or coincidence or happenstance or fate or whatever you want to call it would have it, I got on a reality TV show called Married at First Sight. Want to talk about a shake-up? That was the shake-up. That was hugely confronting to me. The guy who couldn't initiate conversations, who hated being in crowds and the center of attention and people looking at him, this was like the polar opposite of anything I'd ever experienced or ever wanted to experience. And regardless of the outcome, I learned a shitload about myself and a shitload about other people and life and just general social skills. And whilst, yes, not everyone's going to go on reality TV, these lessons I learned, I feel are applicable to anyone. So I want to share with you the 3 things that really stood out for me when I was on reality TV. Number 1, don't allow your self-worth to be dictated by others. My situation was quite unique as I was thrust into the spotlight quite abruptly. I went from a total unknown to everyone talking about me. Colleagues, friends, strangers, people on the internet, everyone was talking about me. Before going on reality TV, I didn't even have an Instagram account, but I went from 0 to 60,000 followers in a couple of weeks. And as you can imagine, everyone had their 2 cents to say. Everyone had an opinion on who I was as a person, the actions I had done, and they were calling me names and telling me this and saying I was this kind of person, and it was horrible. Unfortunately, it wasn't just criticism from people outside the experiment. It also happened within and from people I knew and who I thought knew me. There were issues with who I was as a person, things that I valued, the fact that I was too positive, I didn't swear, I was this, I was that. There were just general issues people had with who I was as a person and things that I valued about myself. And that made it difficult. I thought by getting out of the experiment, shutting myself off, keeping a low profile, not getting caught up in any of the drama would make me immune to the criticism. But it didn't. It still came. And it came in hard and it came in heavy. And it was hard to cope with. It really hurt hearing these horrible things. I found myself not trusting people, closing myself off, not wanting to talk to anyone. I found that I needed to see a psychologist to talk through some of these issues and some of the things that I was feeling because of what people were calling me and what they were saying about me and the judgments they were making and the assumptions they were making. And I thought it was never going to end. I thought this is my life from now on. But what I didn't realize at the time, and what took the passing of time to cement in my mind, was the fact that eventually these people would get tired and forget and stop talking about me. And that life would get back to normal. And that these opinions that I was so concerned about before that affected me so much didn't matter. Because these people had nothing to do with my life. I would never meet these people. I would never interact with these people. And the funny thing was, for all the mean messages I would get, there'd be messages of support. And everyone I met on the street was nothing but kind, which just reinforced the fact that these people who were just sending messages, who were having opinions about me, who were making judgments, it wasn't about me. It was about them and what they were feeling. And that once I was out of sight, I'd be out of mind. I realized that everyone has an opinion, and that's great. I absolutely believe everyone needs to have their own opinion. But just because someone has an opinion doesn't mean you need to listen to it. If you're getting a criticism or some feedback or an opinion, ask yourself these questions next time. Does this feedback have any truth to it? And if it does, what can I learn? And does this person have my best interest at heart? So that's the first major takeaway I took from being on reality TV. Number 2, put yourself out there. True growth happens just outside your comfort zone. My experience on reality TV was absolutely that. I went on to national TV and told all of Australia that I was a 29-year-old virgin. That was not an easy thing to do. Prior to going on the show, I couldn't even say the word virgin in a sentence, let alone admit the fact that I was a 29-year-old one. I was so embarrassed and ashamed. Whenever I would be with friends who were talking about their relationships and their intimacy and stuff they were doing, I would get so anxious. I would start to sweat and I would start to panic and I would start to find a way out of the conversation because I didn't want them to ask me anything about that because they would see right through the fact that I had no idea. But when I decided to go on that show, I realized I can't change my story. It is what it is, but I can own it. And the funny thing was, the more I said that I was a 29-year-old virgin, the easier it got. And that was the thing. Owning my story, speaking my truth, took the power away from it. It no longer had a hold on me. That fear that was gripping me, holding me back, the minute I spoke its name, released its grip. And I could move forward. And that's the thing about doing things that scare you. The more something scares you, the more important it is that you do it because that's where the biggest growth is going to happen. And I know the comfort zone, it's safe, it's cozy, it's secure. There's no threats, there's nothing scary, there's nothing bad inside the comfort zone. It's safe, I like it. I know that feeling, but growth doesn't happen in there. Growth happens just outside that box you call your comfort zone. In the last year, I've been through more things that scared me than I had in the previous 29. So many things that I never thought I would ever do, I have done. And each time I've done one, it's been like a step up, a step closer to who I'm meant to be as a person. It takes me that much closer to my authentic self. And you know what? I'm going to keep doing things that scare me because the more of those I do, the more I grow as a person. And the more I grow as a person, the closer I get to becoming who it is I'm meant to be and the kind of person I'm proud of. So you've got to put yourself out there because true growth happens outside your comfort zone. Number 3, get rid of expectations. Having expectations is the fastest, surest way to unhappiness. I'd watched previous seasons of Married at First Sight, which probably begs the question, well, why would you put yourself through that? But I digress. And I'd formulated a theory that the reason these matches didn't work out was that people went in lying about themselves, giving off the version they wanted people to see rather than the version of who they are. So they would tell people what they thought they wanted them to hear rather than what they actually needed to say. I also thought that maybe the reason some of these matches don't work out is people go in expecting they're going to get something and then when they don't, they're not happy. So my expectation was if I'm honest and don't expect that other person to be something I've set in my head, that my match will work out. Well, it didn't because you know what? That was another expectation. That was me expecting that if I do this, this will work out. It doesn't work like that. You can't expect things are going to go exactly as you plan. I also put a lot into that experiment, expecting that this would make me happy, that this would be the massive shakeup, my life would be completely different, and I'd just discover myself as a person, and I'd find out where I wanted to go and the journey I was on, and heavens would open, and everything would just work out, and the path would be laid before me. That didn't happen either. Expectations are the surest way to your unhappiness. Because if you're expecting something to go a certain way and it doesn't, you're going to be disappointed. So having expectations not only makes you disappointed when they don't work out, it keeps you from living in the here and now, from living in the moment and enjoying what's happening right now. So my advice, get rid of expectations. You'll be much happier. So to recap, number 1, don't allow your self-worth to be dictated by others. Just because someone has an opinion doesn't mean you need to listen to it. Number 2, put yourself out there. Real growth happens just outside your comfort zone. Number 3, get rid of expectations. Expectations are the surest way to unhappiness. Now that probably seems like a lot of shit to go through to just get those 3 lessons, but the hindsight for me is that I'm glad it happened. Because everything that happened to get me to this point got me to this point. If anything in the past were to change, I wouldn't be here right now as a person who's starting to become someone I'm very proud of. And what's transpired has reaffirmed my beliefs, values, and what I want out of life. And that's the thing. If you look at everything in life that happens to you as a lesson, and think, what can I take away from this? What can I learn to be better adapted if this were to happen next time? And that mindset, that mental shift, takes away some of the negativity of the situation and allows you to adapt and cope when things don't go right in the future. But I want to hear from you guys. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done and the biggest lesson you've learned from it? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video and found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos on the topic of transformation, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, I'm Matty B, and be kind to one another.